Good afternoon, this is Mr. Ramsden here with another installment of programming with our virtual reality robotics. Today's discussion is going to center around our next activity. That would be basketball skills. So scrolling down to basketball skills. Drills. Okay, so basically we're going to get the robot to work towards running lines. That's going to be the general purpose of this activity. We will use the same playground we used before, the grid map. The helpful hints are a reminder that the grid map is 200 by 200 millimeters square. And if we want to try to make our programming with less blocks, they're asking us to consider using some repeat blocks. So that'll be a new feature today. All right, level 1, program the VR robot to drive forward 1 grid square. Next, program the VR robot to drive reverse to the beginning point. Continue this pattern for 2 squares and then 4 squares. Okay, so there's the key. It's going to be 1, then 2, then 4. So when started, drive forward and then drive in reverse. And I'll start it. So this is level 1. All right, successful. For the first part, I'm going to hide this again because remember, it sometimes takes a while to load it. Okay. One new feature for this week is I can right-click on some blocks and I can ask it to duplicate it. And what it's going to do is going to allow me to tag 2 more blocks underneath it. The activity asked for me to go from 1 block and back, then 2 blocks and back, and then 4. So let's see here. 2 blocks would be 400 and 400. And then 4 blocks would be double that again, so 800. So maybe I will take this block, turn this to 800. And just for fun, I'm going to right-click on it, duplicate just that 1 block. And there. When you use that duplicate feature, it duplicates all blocks that are from the one you're selecting down. So that might be a consideration in how you attack this. All right, I'm going to reset my robot and then press play. And 1 block and back, 2 blocks and back, 3, 4 blocks and back. All right, so that's a successful level 1. Level 2, program your VR robot to drive forward 1 grid square, stop, and turn back 1 grid square to where the VR robot started without using the reverse block. All right, the VR robot will need to turn around to drive back to the first position. Continue this pattern for 2 grid squares, then 4 grid squares. So it's going to ask me to do the same thing, except for I cannot use the reverse block. All right, so now I need to make the robot do something slightly different. Instead of drive forward and then reverse, what I might do is tell it to turn to a heading of 180 degrees. It would turn it around. So this would get it to drive forward, turn around, drive back. Now it would be facing down. So maybe I would ask it to turn to a heading of 0 degrees. And something tells me if I continue to do that pattern, we would have some success. So resetting the program. Okay, so that's the first of the 3 steps that it takes to do this. There's absolutely no concern about using turn right for 180 degrees instead of that. Instead of using the heading setting. or turn left, as long as it turns all the way around. Okay, so that is the easy part of this one. Now level 3, I'm going to give you a couple hints. There are some really interesting variables here using the repeat function. So I'm going to control this. It asks me in level 3 to go and drive 1 block, then 2 blocks, and 3 blocks, and 4 blocks, and 5 blocks, and 6 blocks, all the way to the end. So this would remind me a little bit of Plants vs. Zombies. Maybe I will do this 3 times. And what I'm going to ask it to do, I'm going to introduce a couple different concepts here. One is included is a variable. This is really advanced. You can do level 3 by just typing in drive forward 200, turn around, drive forward 200, and do the same thing all the way until you get to, must be 1600. It might not have to turn around, but maybe drive forward for 200. But I'm going to change this and then drive backwards for 200. This is where this variable thing gets crazy. Variables are like math class. This is where we get into some really advanced stuff. I'm going to tell it the very first time that my variable, which is going to be called, I'm going to give it a new name, drive distance, submit. So I can tell it drive forward for a drive distance and drive reverse for the drive distance. Now that first drive distance is going to be 200. And then before it starts repeating the loop, I can change its drive distance and I can tell it how much to change it by. And I want to ask it to change it by 200. What that means is it's going to start, it's going to set this word, it's going to say drive distance is equal to 200. Then for 3 times, it's going to loop whatever's in this bracket. The first time it's going through, it's going to drive forward for whatever drive distance is, which in this case is 200. And then it's going to drive in reverse for 200. But when it's done with going forward and then back, it's going to now add 200 to the original number that drive distance is. So in theory, it should go 400 on the second go. And let's give it a shot and hope it works. Okay, so that looks like it's going to be successful. Obviously, I need to make a couple changes with the number of times it's doing the repeat loop. But there's a great start for you to do some advanced programming. If you don't like the advanced programming option for level 3, you can truthfully just do, let me delete a few of these things, the longhand but less complex way to do this third level is to make this 200, duplicate it, make the next one's 400. Duplicate it again, and continue making the numbers larger to get to your final result. All right, hopefully this finds you well, and have a great day. Almost sorry. Make sure you take a screenshot of this and post it to the discussion board, right? Because that's how I'm going to be able to assess that you've been able to do the activity until we find a way to capture videos. So for today, make sure you screenshot this, attach it to the discussion board. All right, have a great day.